a look for you guys that's very dramatic. This is perfect for those night outs. If you guys are actually gonna hit the club on the weekend, you know, this is a really nice look. It accentuates the eyes, making them look a little more cat eye. I went ahead with a berry lip to kind of match the eyeshadow, but you guys could do a nude if you aren't comfortable with the bold lip. The trick behind achieving a very well blended berry look like this, even if it was different colors, bronze, smoky, whatever, is your blending. You have to take your time with blending. So if you're interested in achieving this look right here, just keep on watching.
So of course you guys know the drill. I'm gonna go in with my e.l.f. brow and liner cream with my e.l.f. dual-sided brush. You know, the one with the spoolie at the end and then angled brush on the other end. And just lightly fill in my brows, and as I keep filling it in, I'm gonna go ahead and just continue with brushing it out with the spoolie. And then whatever's left over on the brush, I go ahead and do the inner corner of the eyebrow. Now make sure that you brush out your cream product really good with the spoolie because it actually helps create a more natural look. Here, of course, you guys know, again, I'm gonna grab my Maybelline Fit Me concealer and just clean up them brows. You know, gotta keep them brows on fleek. And once I have my concealer down packed, I'll go ahead and with my finger to finish blending it all out. By doing my brows first and concealing them this way, this technique actually helps out with creating a border around your brows. So as soon as you go back in later with foundation, extra concealer, you don't have to go in too close to your brows. And just so you guys know, I do my brows first because I feel that they actually last a lot longer since they're going directly on my skin instead of going directly on top of like foundation if I were to do my foundation first. Like I said, this way I feel like they last a lot longer and they stay on my face a lot better. And of course, once I'm done with my brows, I go ahead in with a clear gel to keep them in place. For my eyeshadow primer, I'm going in with the Urban Decay Primer Potion in Eden. Using a primer underneath your eyeshadow helps prevent from creasing. For my everyday makeup looks, I go ahead and just use my concealer, but since today is going to be a more dramatic look, I'm going to use an actual eyeshadow primer to keep them in place and not budge. Now I'm going to go in with my Morphe 350 palette and pick this color right here with a large shadow brush. Basically what I'm going to do is with that color is that I'm going to set my primer. So like that, when I go ahead in later with my actual eyeshadow, I'm not going to put it directly on the primer because that creates patchiness. By setting it this way, it'll allow the eyeshadow to blend a lot better. Next, I'm going to go in with this bone color with the same brush. I'm not going to really change brushes or anything like that. I'm just going to put it on my brow bone just to start creating a slight highlight. I'm also going to take a little bit inside my inner corners. Again, this is just kind of like a base for when I go in later with a lighter color or my highlight. Now with this color right here and a flat shader brush, I'm going to start carving out my crease area as well as my eyelid area. I'm going to start doing the outline of my eyeball, pretty much just keep it in a circular shape. Now remember to pick up product with the brush, tap off the excess and pat it on your eyelid little by little, and you just keep building up that color. You know, you just keep picking it up slightly, tapping off the excess and keep patting it on, and then with the same brush you could just kind of like blend it out just very slightly. Then I'm going to grab this brush right here, which is a dome blending brush, and I'm just going to start blending out those edges. This brush has no additional product on it. It's just to blend out those edges that I just created. Now I'm going to take a tapered blending brush, and with the same color I used to set my eyeshadow primer, I'm just going to go in and continue blending out those edges to create a much more blown out effect. Now I'm going to dig into my Carly Bible palette with this color right here and start packing it on my eyelid with I'm using the same shader brush that I used earlier to pack in the previous color. Pretty much do the same since you're going from lightest to darkest, you could use the same brush. Again, same technique as before, I'm just packing it all over my eyelid in a circular shape, and then I'm going to go in later and start blending out those edges. With the same dome blending brush that I used before, I'm just going to start again blending out those edges. Pretty much it's gone back and forth between the flat shader brush, this domed blending brush, and then my tapered fluffy blending brush. This way it will allow you to have a very blended out eyeshadow, and that is really the technique that you need when you're creating a more dramatic look. No matter what colors you're using, as long as you're blending it out correctly, your eyeshadow will always look flawless. Now going back into my Morphe 350 palette, I'm going to pick up this color right here, which is a little bit more on the brown side. With this color, I'm going to start defining my outer corners as well as a little bit on my inner corners and a little bit on the crease. And of course, you guys should know by now, you pat it in. You gotta pat that color in and build up gradually. It helps achieve a more blended out look. Now once I'm happy with my dark color, I'm going to go in with my tapered blending brush again and use the same color I used to set my eyeshadow primer, just to help blend out those edges even more. My technique for blending out my eyeshadow edges is basically I go in back and forth windshield wiper motions. In between that, I'm also doing very tiny and very light circular motions as I'm doing the back and forth windshield wiper motion. Hopefully that makes kind of sense. If you have any questions, just comment down below and I'll try my best to answer them. Here, I'm just taking my big fluffy shader brush that I used earlier to kind of just lightly blend out that color towards my brow bone. Now I'm going to pick up these two colors right here from my Morphe palette, but before I pick up those colors, I'm going to use the same brush I used to pat on the colors onto my eyelid, but this time I'm going to damp it a little bit with my setting spray to make the colors a little more pigmented, since it is a shimmer color. And here I'm just popping it onto the center of my eyelid. Next, I'm going to take this color right here from my Morphe palette, and with the large shader brush, I'm just going to lightly blend it in my crease area. Then I'm going to take this gold color right here, and with my large shader brush, I'm going to blend it in the area right underneath the peak of my eyebrow, but above my crease. This will give it a nice sheen to the high peak of my brow bone. with no additional product. I'm just blending out that area. Now I'm just going to grab a wipe and clean up the outer edges. Then I'm going to start on my face. Now I'm going to grab my NYX Color Correcting Concealer, and I'm going to go ahead and grab that peachy tone in the middle section with my BH Cosmetics brush. That came in a set actually. And I'm going to use this color to pretty much counteract the effects of my acne scars. I'm also going to place this color under my eyes to counteract the dark circles I have going on there. I only do this step when I'm about to do a full coverage foundation routine. After I'm done patting that in with my brush, I'm going to go in with my Maybelline Fit Me Dewy and Smooth Foundation mixed in with my L'Oreal True Match Lumi. And I'm just going to apply that all over my face with my Real Techniques Beauty Blender. Now, to achieve a very flawless and non-cakey look with your foundation, it's always best to apply a very thin layer and then go back in later and just apply a second layer wherever you need additional coverage in. This will pretty much provide a nice flawless application. The other thing too is it's best to always push and pat it in with the beauty blender, or even if you're using a brush, always pat it in your face first instead of just swiping it and moving it around. This will give you a more airbrushed look, and it will actually give you a better coverage as well. Now I'm going to go in with my NYX HD Studio Concealer and just apply just very little layer on top of any blemishes peeking through my foundation. And once I'm done applying that, I'm going to go ahead and grab my beauty blender with the very tip of my beauty blender, just pat that in really nicely to blend it out. Now I'm going to grab my Maybelline Fit Me Concealer and conceal under my eyes. You guys know the drill. Around my nose, on my nose, chin, jawline, around my mouth, the whole shebang. Now I'm going to grab my beauty blender and start blending out all my concealer. Again, you use the pat in motions, you pat and just kind of roll it into your skin. This will allow your concealer to kind of blend in and merge together with your foundation to create a more flawless effect. Now to add some color back to my face so I don't look like a white ghost, I'm going to grab my LA Girl Pro Conceal in the color Toast and start blending that out with my damp beauty blender. Again, just make sure that you pat and roll your cream products onto your skin, and then with this concealer, since it's very pigmented, you always build up on it. No matter what type of product you're using, I always find it best that you use the smallest layer first and then you build up little by little. And I'm just going to apply this on my cheekbones, my forehead, and right around my jawline to contour. And give my face the illusion of a thinner, more sculpted face. Now I'm gonna grab my Coty Airspun Loose Face Setting Powder in the color Natural, and I'm gonna grab my Beauty Blender and dip it just like this, dip the tip of it. Once I kind of blend out all the creases that created, I'm gonna go in and pat this all over my under eye area. I'm gonna go in quite heavy on my under eye area because, like I said, it's a more full coverage look that I'm going for, so I want this under eye area to last and not crease at all. I also want it to control oil and sweat throughout the day. Now, I don't let the areas around my mouth or my jawline sit too much, just because I want it to be more concentrated towards kind of like the center of my face. Now, before I do anything else, I take a Q-tip and just wipe off the excess foundation and concealer off of my lips. Now I'm going to take my Elizabeth Mott contour palette and dip into these two colors right here to contour my cheeks, and then I'm also going to dip into these two colors right here to kind of brighten up my face a little more after I dust away the powder. I'm using my BH Cosmetics angled blending brush that again came together in a set, and with a blend of the two contour shades I showed you earlier, I'm just going to set that cream contour. And again, I just pat it in my face, kind of pushing it together, making it blend very nicely. And very, very, very lightly, I'm doing very small circular motions right around the edges of that contour just to kind of blend it out really nicely. But I don't go in too heavy with the circular motions. Don't forget to bring this down your neck a little bit. Pretty much everywhere you place your cream contour, you're going to set that with your contour powder, and you can see the big difference. Now I actually look like I have color in my face. Now, my dumb self didn't realize that my camera stopped recording, and I completely missed the whole blush application as well as my under eye area. So what I did was I basically took my e.l.f. Complexion Brush and grabbed this color right here and just very lightly dusted onto the apples of my cheeks. Now for my under eye area, I basically just copied what I did on the top and kind of mirrored it on the bottom lash, but I only used the last three colors of the eyeshadow. And then I'm just going to grab my fluffy tapered blending brush and just blend that out real nicely. I also didn't show how I used my e.l.f. contour brush to kind of stamp out my contour line with a little bit of loose setting powder. That normally I don't let it sit on my face for too long. Now I'm just taking my e.l.f. complexion brush and just blending everything out. Now I'm gonna take the Balm Mary Luminizer and start highlighting my brow bones, my inner corners, my nose, the tip of my nose. And then I'm also gonna lightly dust this over my chin and my Cupid's bow, as well as right above my eyebrow, just to kind of give it a little bit of highlight and a little bit of shine. Now I'm going to take my L'Oreal Infallible Pro Setting Spray, and now I'm going to also take my e.l.f. highlighting brush. I'm going to use my setting spray to spray just my cheekbones, and right before it dries up completely, I'm going to go in with my highlighter and just tap it on my cheekbones. Oof, look at that glow. Now I'm going to take my Maybelline Eye Studio liner and I'm going to start eyelining my eyes. I do diffuse the product on the cap. It allows me to kind of control how much product goes onto my actual eye. Here I'm just going to start with doing a quick outside of the line. I'm going to follow the shape of my bottom lash line, and that will be the starting point on how I do my eyeliner. easiest for me to use a very tiny brush to do my eyeliner, and I do very small sketch-like strokes. I first start off with making sure that my lash line is completely covered, and then I go back in little by little and start thickening up that eyeliner to the thickness that I want. Now, I apologize for this part. I'm the type of girl that likes to get in really close to my mirror when I do my eyeliner, so I completely kind of got out of frame when I started doing my waterline with this eyeliner. Basically, all I did was I just lined my waterline with the same gel eyeliner that I'm using. And here I'm just, again, going back in and thickening it little by little, making it more even. And this is how I perfect my eyeliner. Now I'm going to start sharpening in my inner corner with the black eyeliner to kind of create a more cat eye look. Basically what I do is just create a nice little point in the inside of my eye. Now I'm going to reach for my Urban Decay Naked 2 palette and reach for the color Blackout with the definer brush, just like this. And basically what I'm going to do with this color is just set my waterline. Wherever I put the black eyeshadow, I just set it there so it doesn't budge. Here I'm just touching up my outer corners right after I put my eyeliner. Sometimes I just need a little quick touch up. Now I'm just going to grab a lip liner that's close to my lip color and just line my lips. And as I'm lining my lips, I'll be blending it out with my finger. Now I'm going to grab one of my favorite liquid lipsticks. This is from BH Cosmetics and it's their matte liquid lipsticks. And this is in the color Endora. And I'm just going to go ahead and fill out my lips with this gorgeous color. I'm also going to take a little bit of Serena and just dab it right in the center of my lips. Before I blend that out, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of concealer and just clean up the outer edges of my lips. Now I'm just going to take a small detail brush and just put a little bit of highlight on the cupid's bow to make it a little more defined. Next I'm going to curl my lashes and prep them with my Maybelline Big Shot Mascara. And now I'm gonna go ahead and put on my lashes to give this look a lot more drama. And now you just finish off with some setting spray.
And just like that, you guys are done. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Don't forget to follow me on my social media and hit the subscribe button down below with the little bell so you guys are notified when my next video is live. All the products that I've used today will be listed in the description down below. And thank you so much for watching. Media, hit the subscribe button with the little bell so you guys are notified.